Okay, we're on.
Calling in order the council meeting of October 14th, 2025. Please welcome everybody. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please call the roll.
Mr. Newell?
Here.
Ms. Ajar?
Here.
Ms. Weltman? Ms. Bowden? Here. Mr. Lemay?
Here.
Mr. Gentili?
Here.
Dr. Walker?
All right. We're getting underway because we were informed that Ms. Weltman will not be joining us tonight. The first order of business is ordinance 2025-13. This is a ordinance, council, that is required for us to receive portions of the opioid settlement fund. And Peter, you want to tell us anything more about this, or
I think it's
we-
misnumbered.
say it again?
It's misnumbered. It's 19 on the ordinance and 13 on the agenda.
It should be 13, I believe.
Is 13 the correct number?
I think so.
And on page 2, it says 2020-19.
We will coordinate the document to reflect the proper year and ordinance number.
Yeah, no, we were already past 14 for this year.
Let me go check the book.
Yeah,
real
well,
quick.
you don't just need to fix it before it's.
We'll fix it when we go to sign it.
Okay.
We have with us tonight Lieutenant Jim Colbert, who is sitting in for Chief Dietz, and also Mr. Rankator. Anything you want to say about this, or we can ask the Lieutenant?
Mr. Mayor, in order for the city to accept the funds from the various opioid settlements, we do need to establish a fund, which we do not have. So we're required by law to do that first, and then we can take the funds and use them for an authorized expenditure.
And what is the authorized expenditure?
It's through, I think it's called One Ohio, it's a settlement, and there's different things you can use the monies in the funds for. We'll probably be receiving roughly 10 to 15,000 for the first few years in this fund, and we've established a partnership with different organizations that Lieutenant Colbert could go into that would qualify under the One Ohio settlement.
Is it for drug treatment and things like that? Is that the thrust of it?
Various things associated with, people that struggle with opioid.
Addictions? Okay.
Yeah, it can go beyond addiction in this phase of the settlement so far as what we can utilize the funds for. I've been meeting with other area mayors to enter into a memorandum of understanding regarding the usage of our money. Well, for us, we want to use our money for it. It's called, and I'll let the lieutenant address this more specifically for any questions. It's called the First Call Program, which is a acronym for Crisis Assistance and Local Linkage. Basically, it's to provide a social worker or mental health professional who can coordinate with the police department when they have calls and that have responses that could benefit from someone with social work and psychiatric training. Lieutenant, you want to take that?
Sure. So actually Shaker Heights started this program, I don't know, probably about 3 years ago. And they approached us to join with them, as well as Beechwood, Solon, Orange, I think. So the cost will be shared. You have access to a social worker, a mental health professional that you can call whenever we're called to, someone's house for if somebody's in crisis. So we'll have extra resources to assist those residents.
Is it not necessarily drug addiction? It's also broader social, like mental health
Yeah,
issues?
anyone in crisis.
Okay.
essentially.
As I read this, it just allows us to set up the fund and receive funds. There's nothing about spending it.
No, there would be an appropriation. Before anything's spent, council would have to appropriate the funds
Right,
out of
But
that.
that doesn't, this doesn't.
This doesn't do that.
This is
No.
Exactly right.
Saying,
No.
we'll take the money.
Exactly right.
I was
Which we-
just.
Which we usually do.
If it's out there, thank you very much.
Yeah, I just wanted, in response to Mr. Lemay's inquiries, I thought it was appropriate to give a heads up to council regarding where we envision this money going to at this point. It wouldn't pay for the entire program, but it would supplement and provide a nice head start as to our contribution to it.
So this would be a shared resource. So as needed, we'd have access to this shared resource. So you're on a call and there's family in crisis, you would, yeah, okay.
Does this need to be an emergency measure?
It's set to be established so it's effective immediately. I don't know.
Because we have first reading on the agenda.
I don't know if there's a request for the suspension of the rules.
My thing says declaring an
No,
emergency.
that means it would become effective immediately. The second question is there a request for the suspension of the rules?
Yes, I would request a suspension of the rules.
When did these funds start becoming available? Like, are we getting in on the first round, or is this legislation like a little bit late? Like,
This is a new settlement, in other words, is it?
yeah, kind of like, I'm looking at this as kind of like COVID dollars. Like, are we getting in for first installments, or have installments already been going out that we perhaps missed?
Like COVID, there are different levels of participation.
Okay.
Previous rounds, I know, have requested specific information as to how the municipality has been impacted
Okay.
by. And when we looked into that some time ago, we haven't received, the city of Pepper Pike has not been significantly impacted by the opioid crisis. However, this settlement, as I understand it, is available for all communities.
Yeah. Anything else?
Is this, what class action is this, like, where, is this Sackler settlement? Do you have any idea where these funds are actually coming from? And is it Ohio, is it broader? Do you know?
These are the funds for Ohio. There's just a number of different lawsuits from various litigation claims that have come up with the opioid makers. So amongst them, there's a handful of them actually. So there's probably 5 to 7 that are sitting out there now. And as soon as we're authorized to take the money, I want to take it because I think there's a timetable on, you have to do it by a certain date, and then if you don't take it by that date, then it goes away forever. So I want to be able to access those funds for the community, and we can use them for this program and appropriate them probably in 2026, Tony, to kind of get to where your question was going to be. So we'll have those available for the program, which will probably start in 2026.
I think the Ohio Attorney General joined these lawsuits as on behalf of the state of Ohio. So I'm guessing, do you know,
This is
Steve?
part
Yeah,
of
if you
Ohio.
go, there's an information available on the One Ohio Recovery Foundation website, which,
Probably lawsuits against Purdue and
Yeah.
Sackler.
Yep.
and
it's
all those opioid makers.
Johnson, whoever.
And I want to confirm that this is, the money that we're potentially going to get is more general than just responding to the opioid crisis. And the
Yeah.
reason I ask is because I know there are, communities, as referenced, that are, deeply, deeply impacted. So you're saying like this would be, a mental health professional to respond to any number of situations that arise.
Correct.
Okay.
Right. And in my conversations with the various mayors, when we were solicited to participate in this, I had a lot of conversations with the lieutenant and with Chief Dietz, as well as I've spoken to Chief Frazier at times, and as to would we have a utilization? Do we have a need? Do we have a? Could we utilize this? And it was the consensus that absolutely there are we send our officers out, our paramedics out on situations where they're excellent at de-escalation and dealing with people in crisis when they encounter them. It's not always at that moment that all things get resolved. And not only does this provide we're getting way ahead of the game here, we're just talking about setting up the fund at this point. Not only does it provide more proximate assistance at the time of a call, it provides a framework for longer term engagement by these professionals to help residents on a longer term basis. And we do have, unfortunately, residents who could benefit from this.
Yeah, I mean, I love that. I mean, it makes me happy to hear that these settlement dollars are going towards such a worthy cause. Yeah.
Yeah, because a person in crisis today may be, turn to other things tomorrow in order to address their unhappiness. Okay, so could we have a motion to suspend?
Yes.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Newell?
Yes.
Ms. Atruk? Yes. Ms. Godin? Yes. Mr. Lemay?
Yes.
Mr. Gentile?
Yes.
Dr. Wong?
And a motion for the adoption of 2025-19. The clerk has verified that is the correct ordinance number.
So the wrong number was on the agenda.
On the agenda, correct.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Newell?
Yes.
Ms. Atruk?
Yes.
Ms. Godin? Yes. Mr. Lemay?
Yes.
Mr. Gentile?
Yes.
Dr. Wong? Yes.
Next, we move on to a discussion of public art. Dr. Wong asked that we add this to the agenda, and it is yours, Dr. Wong, to discuss.
Thank you, Mayor. So I don't know if everybody got a handout, but a resident contacted me again to discuss public art. As you may recall, at a council meeting during audience comments a couple months ago, they came and discussed public art perhaps on the trails, like in Gatesville Boulevard Trail. And she reached out to me again and asked if we would consider public art, perhaps even in Lander Circle or on the pavement. They said that in other cities, it has been used to help with safety and draw your eyes to pedestrians that might be on the road. It's been used in larger cities like in Baltimore with more, with success and safety around those areas that are high traffic. I said, I'll present it to the council and see what they say. I think art's important, I don't know how to best go around about this, but it's interesting to think. So if you look at the photo in the bottom right, you can see these different colors to draw your attention to where the pedestrians might be crossing and make it safer for them. But on the one on the left, bottom left, might be a little bit busy for places, but something to consider. So
the art would be in the roadway or on the trail?
So I think there's two separate things. So one would be like roadway art to help draw your attention to crosswalks, so it's safer for pedestrians to cross. And then maybe perhaps doing some art within the trail, but they would have to look at and talk to the park planners and decide what would be appropriate and not be too loud and have more meditative spaces. And I think recently Orange did an art kind of project there with a resident artist from Orange showcasing their art, but thought I'd bring it to the attention to council. And
I think it's a really cool idea, Kathy.
Yeah.
I'm glad you put it on the agenda. I think it makes sense if we do tackle the issue of the circle to, just add it to the mix of things that we consider.
Which
And
circle are you talking about?
Lander Circle, sorry, the redesign, the potential redesign that has sort of been like floating around.
I mean, at,
Uh,
Finance.
yeah.
That one, okay.
And then, I mean, I think that once the Gates Mills Boulevard Trail is done, I think, well, I mean, maybe before, I guess, if we're gonna try to work with MKSK, but yeah, I think it's absolutely a worthwhile thing to incorporate. I think it's nice to sort of break up the walk a little bit,
And maybe we could have a rotating, it doesn't have to be the same thing all the time, or I don't know what cities do with this, but I think it's interesting to showcase some of our resident artists, because we do have a lot of people, and people might even donate their art.
So some of it could be permanent, like on the roadway, and some of it might be temporary.
Yeah,
Like
Right.
the art museum, they have a
Right.
chalk festival and things like
Yeah.
that, so. Yeah.
Don, have you ever heard of this,
Yeah.
from a traffic standpoint?
Don, what are the concerns about this? Because I know that sometimes it can be considered distraction as well.
Yeah, it's proceed with caution, I guess. There are some areas where it makes sense. I think this is the first time saying this, but
Right.
I think if you're trying to solve a very busy traffic circle, this is not what's gonna solve it. You need like signage and, other things. I think in certain areas, like sometimes in a residential area, you might have an interesting intersection, and you're just trying to make it more a traffic calming device, so that people tend to slow down because they're kind of looking at the art, and then it's appropriate. I think it does have its place, so if it's something that you want us to look into, we want to make sure that whatever gets done doesn't sort of backfire and create too much of a distraction, or people are confused by it. Drivers do look for certain colors on the pavement, and if they see something that's different, depending on where it's at, it could throw them off.
So
Something like Lander and South Woodland that has that unique.
Yeah.
There's a turning lane, unique to our city anyway. Possibly.
what, is there anywhere in the city, I mean, like I said, you said this is the first you're seeing it, but is there anywhere in the city that you can think of that you're like, okay, well, it potentially would make sense for this type of street, or is it just too hard to say?
It would be hard to just give
Okay.
an example.
Yeah.
There might be some areas where it's appropriate, but I
Yeah.
think you have to look at it sort of holistically, like, yes, this is a good spot for the art to be there, but is it really a good spot for what could be a distraction or create driver confusion?
Yeah.
You want to avoid those things, and I think you can do both things. But I
Yep.
think you have to be careful about where you pick the spot.
So a slight distraction might be calming. Too big a distraction causes accidents.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
So we can't have too controversial of art.
If you think about roundabouts, which are generally pretty popular, or they're becoming more popular, the goal of some of the paint on the roundabout is to get the driver to slow down, because actually it's sort of exaggerated, so that when you see it, your instinct as a driver is like, oh, there's a lot going on here, I need to slow down a bit. So that when you come into the actual roundabout, you've already slowed down to 15 miles an hour. But you do those with sort of you wouldn't use some interesting color pattern, you kind of stick with the yellow, black.
Yeah.
But there are other things, there are other areas potentially where you could do it, or if you have an area where you have a lot of pedestrian traffic, a large crosswalk or something like that, sometimes there's an opportunity to do something.
yeah, my instinct or my reaction when I see like that lower right-hand example is that it would be nothing but distracting, because as drivers, we are, educated and experienced to look for particular, symbols and colors on a street as we proceed. And if suddenly you see, we know what a yellow crosshatch means, or a white crosshatch. If you suddenly have a orange or pink pavement, the instinct of some unfamiliar with what that spot is may be to jam on their brakes. Oh, I am not allowed to go in there. So you can get a lot of different unpredictable reactions to something painted on the pavement. Generally, when you say public art, I think more of, a bronze sculpture, placed in a park somewhere. And to me, that's public art in my mind.
That's the art that Orange Village has received.
Yeah.
There are 2 bronze sculptures on the Village Hall property. They have also in their Village Hall had some displays in the hallway, not public out in the right of way where drivers might or might not be distracted.
And I think that it's interesting because seeing it on the agenda, my thought was kind of, because I know we talked about it lightly in our Parks and Beautification Committee in regards to public art. And I think even all of our reactions to it, you can see how varied opinions are regarding art. And I think that that's something that we need to be very cognizant about is, what is attractive to one person may be very unattractive to another. You talk about any famous piece of art, like the free stamp downtown. Some love it, some hate it, and how that reads. This was not what I was expecting to see. I think I do have some concerns aesthetically about how a design like that fits in our community and what that would look like. And I would need to see like a little bit more like research and study as to effectiveness, kind of like what Don was saying about it. Now, if we're talking about potential art installations in our parks along the trail, places that I think something could be unexpected and found that could be interesting and like that, I would be supportive of. This, I'm a little bit I'm not quite sure how this really fits.
I asked them to provide like a one pager of what they were thinking, and this is what I got.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you sharing it,
I
Kathy.
think
Like,
it's important to think about how we can improve the landscape of our city and feature some of our residents that are so talented. Maybe this is not the best way to do it, but maybe we could consider, I thought, once the second part of Gates Mills Boulevard Park is completed, then maybe we can do that. Think about art in there or something. I don't know.
I thought that.
To your point, Matt, longtime residents may remember that. You may remember this, Rick, but it's one of our residents put an old bathtub in their front yard,
I do remember that.
on Southwood.
and they called it art.
Girls right here.
And that was a big brouhaha because it looked like an old bathtub. So, to your point about different views in different places, though, I'm intrigued about along the trail to have some interesting art where you just stop and, oh, that's interesting. Let me think about what that represents. And that the traffic thing, I don't know. I'm open to it if we can find the right places.
Yeah,
for
I
it.
think you'd have to do a little bit more study.
I urge everybody to go online and take a look at all the different analysis. It will help.
Okay.
Tony, I want to follow up with your idea of having our own little chalk festival. I mean, that's one of the best events of the year, in my opinion. I would how fun would that be to have on the trail next spring?
Sure, I mean,
Yeah.
things like
That'd be
that
amazing.
for kids
Yeah.
would be fun. I didn't think that necessarily fits
No,
into
no,
this.
that was
Yeah.
separate. Yeah. But I mean, you just threw that out there. I think that'd
Yeah.
be super fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think the middle photo, or the
Yeah.
middle pair of photos kind of reminded me of
Yeah.
that kind of a thing. But I would think maybe some statuary, along the trail. That's kind of what Jim was saying. I mean, obviously you could, put paintings out there, but that's what I thought we were gonna talk about. So, but a lot of good ideas.
As I've gone down the trail many times, I have observed some wonderful chalk art of various children. And I always enjoy the chalk art.
But you could, Jackie's, amplifying the throw out that I did, you could make it an event.
Yeah,
Mhm.
You
like
had an
a
event,
spring
like a
event.
Saturday morning or
Right.
whatever.
We have a committee that would love to perhaps put on something like that. That could be a whole lot of fun.
Okay, so thank you for bringing it up and for the discussion, council. And we have a further discussion of Mr. LeMay has been working on for the last year, apparently, a revision of our chapter 206. And Mr. LeMay, I will this is an introduction of the
Yeah,
topic.
this is a heads
to
up,
council.
basically. I've long been unhappy with our chapter 206. I think it's really hard to read. It's a bit not organized very well. And I thought at first it would be a kind of a quick fix, but then I started reading contract provisions from other cities, and I've read about 20 of them, and I realized how really out of date it is. Let me give you a quick example. We recently had a road emergency where we had an urgent need to enter into contracts to fix a water main and backfill it. And the price of the contract was over the mayor's authority. And he was chasing council members to get, and that's because we didn't have an emergency clause in our contracting ordinance. And as reviewed at all these other ordinances from other cities, many of the modern updated have an emergency clause. And it defines emergency as something immediate threat to the public health, safety, or property. But in that event, I think the mayor should have unlimited authority to do what is necessary to sign contracts to resolve the emergency. This last time you sit on an email and there's this really funky provision that the mayor has a little more authority if 4 council members send him an email. It's ridiculous. So that's one example of we're really out of date. Modern contracting ordinance give the mayor the authority in an emergency as defined. It's not unlimited, but it's defined. And that's one example. Another is we have no provision on invoice splitting. That came up also in this last thing because we didn't have an emergency clause. And so it's now very common to clearly define what invoice splitting is prohibited. Few other examples is now these modern ordinances. The state of Ohio passed about 10 years ago a law that said these types of provisions in government contracts are illegal. Indemnifications, waivers of liability, all these kind of things. And many cities have followed suit and put in their ordinances contract clauses that say if any vendor sends the fine print on the back of their little form, the lawyers call this the battle of the forms. If we get their form and don't say, well, no, we're not agreeing to that, suddenly their terms can apply to us. And there could be indemnifications, waivers of liability, all kinds of things that aren't good for the city. And so numerous communities have now included in their ordinances clauses, as does the state of Ohio now. It says these provisions are void ab initio. They're void. They don't apply. So even if you send them to us, they're not binding on us. So that provides a lot of protection to our city. And I went through these other cities, and now I think I have kind of the best practice. I pulled various clauses from various cities to put these in our ordinances. There's some practices in our ordinance we just don't follow because they make no sense. They're administratively ridiculous to have, and so I also need to clean those up. So this has taken a lot longer than I thought it would. I've gone over a first draft with the mayor, gone over it with Steve, and Steve has pulled in an expert on public contracting from outside who provided excellent legal work in a memo, adding to what I had done and tweaking some things. So I think this is going to be very positive for the city. We'll really protect the city, update the city, give the mayor authority to handle emergencies, which he's never had. So it's just a general update. It will not be redlineable because of all the changes. So you're going to get a new ordinance. Hopefully next week I can get this finished. And I invite you to read it and put it on for first reading at the next meeting. It'll be a nice update. I think will make us more efficient, more effective, and protect the city like it's not been protected in the past.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
Well,
Lemay.
Are you preparing the
I am.
revision based on Rod's
I'm
recommendations?
taking those,
Okay.
and as I mentioned, I love almost all of them, and I'm dropping them in. I will send you a red line, Steve,
Good.
maybe later this week
From the prior version?
from the prior version, so you'll see
Perfect.
how much I've adopted, and it's almost all of his suggestions.
And can we have access to the work that was done by the attorney?
Absolutely.
Sure.
Great.
It's 21 pages long. Happy reading.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
I will get
Lemay.
that out to you, to everybody tomorrow.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
What are we getting?
That Rod's comments that identify section, he went through Jim's proposed ordinance and made comments on all of them. And off the top of his head was able to cite chapter and verse, which was comprehensive.
It was one of the best pieces of legal work I've seen in a long time. This guy, Steve knows him from prior lives, but he's an expert in public contracting. This must be all he does, because
No, he's actually the city manager of OBETS now.
but to do that in 5.5 hours of build time, I found If he had said 15 or 20, I wouldn't have blinked
He's,
an eye.
he's
Right.
comprehensive. His
Exactly.
knowledge is
I agree
comprehensive.
with your comment.
Yeah, it was very.
The mayor
very
saw
well
him
done.
at a CLE
Yeah.
and was very impressed by
Ah.
it. And actually, he wrote this chapter,
Oh, okay, great. You
the
could
chapter
tell.
that you're objecting
You
to.
could tell.
I took
Well-
lots of notes at the CLE.
Good, good.
Alrighty. We'll move on to committees and department heads. I know the planning commission met since we were last together. I'll report on that. There was one variance application, and that was for a lot that's being built that sits on a corner. And we've faced this dilemma before. It's always challenging when they have two streets bordering a home. This one had, a commitment which will be written and attested to, so it becomes part of the public record down at the county of the need to provide screening on the one, very little traveled side street that faces one of it. That side of the house where the garage will be also faces no one. There's the back end of a lot that's all treed is across the street, so there's no one across the street that this garage will be
What's
facing.
the intersection?
Beg pardon?
What's the intersection?
It's Lewis and Cedar,
Okay.
and
LOUIS or LO?
LEWIS, isn't it?
I think
The
it's
LOU.
Is it LOU or LE?
That
LOU.
I think it's,
Yeah,
hang on.
the other Lewis is by the.
Chiefs,
school.
which one is it?
School, right?
Mhm. Yeah, this is the one up on.
Hello. LOUIS. And there were resident and the neighbor was there. There's a handful of people on this street, so it's very little traveled. And she was very enthusiastic about it because any other placement of the garage was going to put it in her face as the next door neighbor. So she much preferred this orientation. So the commission approved it. And that was the only matter before us, wasn't it?
Mhm.
That was the matter.
Yep.
So that is my report of the planning commission. Scott, I know you met.
Communications Committee met to once more again discuss possible upgrades to the audio video equipment here. Not only what we stream on, but also the possibilities of having more than one screen up there, maybe one up here, and other improvements. We explored other improvements in communications, such as improving the city website, using existing software features more effectively, and the potential of hiring a part-time communications director. It was a robust discussion, which will continue in the next meeting.
Okay, thank you, Scott.
I
You met.
Yeah, the Parks and Beautification Committee met on Monday, October 8th here at City Hall. As you may know, we invited residents to submit applications to become citizen members of the committee. Our primary purpose for meeting last week was to adjourn to an executive session for the purpose of discussing the appointment of public officials. The committee will meet again on October 30th.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Department heads, what do we have? How is our trails installation going on South Woodland and
South
Shaker?
Woodland's essentially done. There's one hydrant that needs to be taken care of with City of Cleveland, so we're waiting on that. On Shaker, they're almost complete to Lander Road with the installation. There's a couple minor things, a few dry aprons are left, but that's moving well. Paving on Fairmount is going well. They milled it and they put their intermediate course and they're doing some other castings and that type of stuff. And you get button up in the next couple of weeks.
Okay,
Down on Shaker, I discovered that there's a retaining wall at the corner of Bolingbrook, and
Right.
was that anticipated?
Yeah, we had worked with the residents to come up with sort of a bit of a compromise there. We did have a plan where we would have just re-sloped his front lawn similar to what it was before. There was some desire to do something a little different. Service department, their people really were able to do most of the wall installation with their own, very talented group that you have in the service department. So our contractor did some of the excavation work, and then these guys spent a lot of time picking through our stone supply and building something that's really, I think,
Very attractive.
it's really nice.
I saw it
It's
only,
timeless.
only at night, but it did look,
Yeah,
it looks pretty
it
good.
looks really nice, and they just basically buttoned it up yesterday. So
Looks good.
remarkably good work.
Yeah,
I want
service
to
department was wonderful.
I want to thank you for that because I believe like the extra effort that's going into that part of the project, I think is really going to look nice for the community. And I believe that those homeowners are really pleased with the outcome too. So that was a real win-win.
It's not public art, but it.
I bet. But I do think
good
it's
rocks
attractive.
are always better than art.
Stone.
I love good rocks.
Yeah.
Mr. Advent, anything?
Just that project that we did, thanks to Don and his group that were, every time we had a question, they were right there, to make sure that we tried to get the best look and what everybody's looking for. And we've tried to explain to the resident that, let's get the sidewalk in now. We're at that point, and we'll see if we got to do some more dressing, dressing up and stuff. But it was a good project. About a week and a half worth of work. So.
I know that resident was really uncomfortable because of the topography of their yard, that they were really uncomfortable or reticent about what was going to happen there. So this looks like a pretty good solution.
All right, chiefs, anything?
I got one thing. Just,
Sure, go ahead.
the annual Chagrin Falls Pumpkin Roll is coming up. So,
Hide your
I
pumpkin.
just want to remind residents to secure your pumpkins. We've already had a couple of, students take a few from porches.
As someone
Call us if
who,
they do. I mean,
I can speak as a father of a 36 years ago 4-year-old whose pumpkin was stolen for that event and had to deal with a very upset 4-year-old who didn't have his pumpkin anymore. So secure your pumpkins. I want to offer, it's been out on social media, kudos to Detective Kuznick, Sergeant Detective Kuznick, for, if council is not aware of the public, there was a very diabolic and unfortunate scam that was being perpetrated on people in New York State. Here in Pepper Pike it touched, and Detective Kuznick was instrumental in resolving that crime with federal and other state officials. So really wonderful work by the detective, and our congratulations to him. Not a whole lot to report. We already talked about the first call. Since we were last together, we of course had our Harvest Fest celebration, and it was wonderful. We had a bike ride earlier in the day, the children's focused event from 3 to 5, and a great Harvest Fest dinner, and with music, and we had a lot of residents, sort of a typical number of residents showed up for the dinner. It was jam-packed for the children's event, and if you haven't ever walked into that park during that, you're missing out, because it's nothing but a big smile to see all these little kids with the petting zoo and the face painter and magician and all the fun that they're doing. Thanks to the service department especially for their staging of this, and to Ms. Garrett for her outstanding work, as always, putting this together. But to our service department members otherwise too, for, they run the hayride, they make sure that everything goes smoothly during the day, and they just do such an outstanding job. I have to be really proud that we get to serve with such an outstanding group of individuals. So my thanks to all of them. Council, any comments?
I have one. Speaking of small children, at 11:20 last night at the Rainbow Babies and Children Hospital, Henry Stephen LeMay came into this world. Our first grandchild,
Congrats, Jim.
7 pounds, 3 ounces, and a really nice head of hair. Everyone's doing very well. Grandma and Grandpa are inconsolably over the moon.
Mazel tov, congratulations, all wonderful things to the new parents.
Thank you.
I have two
Doctor?
questions. One, I know last meeting we talked about the ADA update and maybe the city hall renovation of the second floor. Do we have any update on that? Have we reached out to anybody?
We have had meetings about the best way to approach that, to budget for it, as to whether or not, to how to get our hands around that so far as needs analysis, how it folds into other projects, should it stand alone, which I think the consensus is no, it needs to be folded into a broader project to be effective, and that's where it stands right now.
Okay. When I
But
was-
it is on the table that we're working on it.
When I was talking to the police chief last meeting, he thought that maybe it might be beneficial to have like a room, like a community center. Like where
I'm
they
sorry,
could-
say that again?
To have a room, like a community center, so that
Yes.
they can do the CPR trainings and things on site rather than having to go out to Brady. So I don't know if that,
Right,
Maybe talk to
absolutely.
all
I
the
think that's
other
really important.
people
That
around.
was part of the plan that council saw earlier, to have such a space. And I think that's really critical, that in some iteration
Right.
of this, we end up with that.
okay.
I agree with that.
And then, so are we thinking maybe budget, like towards the end of the year, having it in the budget for next year?
Yes, that is a plan, to have it
Timeline?
budgeted for it.
Okay. And then my second question, a few council meetings ago, we talked about the solar energy. They were gonna come educate us. You were gonna find somebody to come, but it was difficult to find a non-partisan or,
That-
you know.
Someone who's not a
official.
vendor,
Right,
yes, that has
yeah.
proven challenging,
Yes,
but
So-
still working on that.
okay. Will that go down to road and infrastructure, or will that still stay up here?
Hadn't thought about that. Probably should go to road and infrastructure.
Well, it's a little late.
I don't know.
For now.
Maybe it goes
We have
to
a meeting
planning
on
commission.
Thursday.
Actually, maybe it goes to planning commission,
Yeah.
not road and infrastructure.
Yeah, I don't think it's.
Yeah, I think
Because it's
more,
not.
I think it's more of a planning commission issue.
Unless we're putting, panels on the roof.
Right, no, yeah, I think it's more of a planning commission or council. Let's see what the person's
Okay.
got
Because
when
I've
we
been
get the
going
person.
around, meeting the residents, and a lot of them are interested in getting solar panels. There's a resident on Lander, I think he presented to ARB on Friday for the solar panels that he was planning to put on his house. So there's growing interest in the community for it.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Any audience comments?
Yeah, I have
Mr.
two.
Ferguson?
One I heard today that,
You gotta say your name, Mr. Ferguson.
Rich Ferguson, 29200 Edsteel Road. My first comment and question is, I heard today that Boardman Township approved a first responders wellness center, and it's for 3 counties in northeast Ohio, where our fire and police and the civilian volunteers that are acting emergency have access to that. Does the council have to act on it? Or are we automatically included?
I'm not certain what it is. Chiefs, do you know?
Not familiar with.
Me either. I mean, we're part of the Cleveland Clinic as a first responders wellness
I
program.
can show you the clip after the meeting. The second question I
Yeah,
have,
to the lieutenant's point, we are part of a
one already.
wellness program.
The other comment I have is that wall that was just built there. I noticed that it comes up to the power pole there. Is that gonna be hardened at all, or would that just butt up against it and that'd be the final solution?
Just butts up against it, yeah.
Okay, so you don't think water or anything's gonna wash out the soil around the pole?
No, I think the way it's set up will be fine. The pole, I'm not worried about the pole's structural integrity.
Right, right.
But I also, we don't want to get too close to the pole with our work. There are some cables and things that are anchoring, that are around the pole that are part of the telecommunications and power. So,
Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Neff?
Manny Neff, 2632 Sound Center Road. A couple topics on here. First one in regards to the Chalk Fest. My wife and I volunteer for the Art Museum, and we participated in that program for about 20 years. There's a lot of different things. It is a great program, and everybody loves it, and the kids love it. There's a couple things you just have to watch for in regards to last year. There was some political statements that were made and so forth, and they did not have a plan that said, okay, you cannot make statements, like this. And there was a very difficult situation that they run into. So you should have something that says, okay, there's nothing divisive, that's put on the sidewalk. The other item that I wanted to talk about is I got a copy of a letter that was very disconcerting, to me. The letter said, as you know, referring to the members of council, this letter came from Mayor Bain to a lot of the residents of the city of Pepper Pike. And it was requested that this letter be distributed by those people that received it to send it to as many residents that they could copy. And this letter read, individually and collectively, extraordinary negative influence on the voters on voting matters, in front of the city. Come before council in virtually every area that they do not, existing council, they do not work collaboratively or productively with this administration. They need to be turned over. Okay, this is the opportunity to turn them out. I find this letter to be extremely, extremely negative, divisive, and politically incorrect. Okay, and with that, nothing has been said, about this letter. And with that, I think that there should be a statement that this is inappropriate on there, and that all the candidates, I haven't seen any candidate, do anything like this. This is totally inappropriate. And with that, especially in light of, just think about tonight's meeting. What was the tenor in this meeting tonight? Did you hear divisiveness? Did you hear, items where people were objecting, to things being done and stuff like that? I heard a very good collaboration, of items going on in tonight's, meeting down here. And, with that, I think I know what the root cause of the problem is. The root cause of the problem is that the definition of collaboration and communication that Webster's has, and most of the people on council have, is totally different from what the mayor's comprehension and definition of what communication and collaboration is. And you can look at the clock and look at the time on there and fine, cut me off whenever you want. And with that.
Well, I'm just wondering, Mr. Neff, we try to keep the politics of the season not in the council forum, but continue statement, but just, this isn't a political forum.
This, okay, thank you very much. Appreciate that. So with that, the item is that it's the definition that the mayor uses right now, and the new candidates, you're going to be up against this. History repeats itself. If you go back 4 years ago, basically to today, the mayor supported several of the members of this council very strongly in campaign literature. Okay, and because they chose to represent the individual people of the community and listen to them strongly and get their inputs, because they weren't just rubber stamping the items, and I'll show the examples now specifically, we're rubber stamping the items on here. They are being,
Mr. Neff, at that point, I respectfully am going to cut you off, because this is not the spot for political. You are free to, Mr. Neff, please, I have the floor for the moment. You are free to exercise all of your First Amendment rights in the political realm. there's Facebook, there's letters, there's all the things. Just as I exercised my First Amendment rights out in the body politic outside of this chamber. But we do not, I try not to, the council people try not to introduce the political debate, the election debate into this chamber. It's not the right place for it. I'm sorry.
Okay, then I'll just end it with this. There's two documents right now that I was going to refer to that show all the things. I'll talk about the sidewalks for a second. Okay, just talking about sidewalks. There's never been a time when council has voted down a sidewalk. As a matter of fact, the document.
Mr. Naft, you don't seem to be listening to me. We're not going to have that conversation here in the chambers. I'm sorry. Is there anyone else? Yes, sir.
Yeah, Sandeep Modi, 2450 Cedar Lakes Drive. I don't know where the Sterling Lakes entranceway ended, the topic, or if it's ended or not, but some feedback I've gotten from community folks there. It's more of a question. They asked the Chagrin Valley engineering firm, city's firm, right, did the study. They're asking, is there a precedence that the city's firm should have done it or should have gone to a non-city firm? So I just encourage you to, whatever way you want to communicate that answer to that community.
Yeah, that's
It's a
fine.
common question.
That's fine. Thank you. Anyone else?
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I didn't catch all of what you said. Who asked about this?
Residents of Sterling Lakes.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Hey, Bob Rice, 2445 Edgewood Trace. Sorry I missed the last meeting. Thank you for putting me on the Roads and Infrastructure Committee. I was actually over in the UK for a reunion and then visit family and drove out in the hinterland after having lived in the UK. It's so good to go to the first R&I meeting. We're going to talk about roundabouts. So spent a lot of time on the roundabouts, and we need more roundabouts. They're safe, they're efficient, they're way better marked over there with signage and laneage. So as we talk about roundabouts, it's how to improve them with signage, painting on the pavement. And so looking forward to that. And my little pet peeve, I looked at the police department because there's probably a reason, stop signs at the roundabout. So you'll never see a stop sign at a roundabout at other places. So I'm going to bring that to the table, happy, and we'll talk about all the other stuff. But we're looking forward to the first meeting on Thursday for that.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
Jean Gascoigne, 30496 West Landerwood, and two events coming up, and that is Wednesday, October 22nd, Candidates Forum. That's from 7 to 9 at Brady Middle School, and Trunk and Treat, Saturday, October 25th, and that's 2:30 to 5:30, and it's at the parking lot by the Learning Center across from the football stadium. So that's always fun. I would also like to say that if there is a new room or construction for meetings, as part of the CERT team, we now train down in the fire department's dining room, which is kind of fun where they're cooking. But that would be another usage for community meetings. I would like to address also, you talk about no political and no debate on anything political there. I believe that last winter, before the voting, on what was it last winter? Anyhow, you had sent out a controversial on the Pepper Pike website, your endorsement and your tome on why everything should happen. The charter review, thank you. The charter review. And that was very controversial, if you remember, or at least reading the minutes of the meeting here. So there was going to be a follow-up by the council members on the website. That was one thing. So to me, that was political. And in follow-up, in communications, you talked about current and ongoing meetings, and you did not, because it could turn into different events, could turn into campaign events. And that would not be appropriate for whatever it was. Now, in my opinion, what you have sent out that was, taken and passed along about your fundraiser at Geraci's for the candidates, and what you said about our current candidates, I thought was totally inappropriate. And for you, as the mayor, I mean, talk about a campaign event and campaigning. I can't believe it. And it was for the people sitting in this room and the people up here. You were you had something to say. There's been a lot of, I call them lies in the media. They call them misinformation, spreading around. Very lengthy, not by you. I put you right in that. So don't cut me off. I'm finished, but I just think that you have done some very inappropriate things. You can shake your head. You always get to be in the hallway afterwards. So I'm just happy to be able to stand up and say what I've said.
Thank you, Ms. Gaskin. Anyone else?
John Eric Schmidt,
Yes, sir.
29449 Bolingbrook. I want to thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had a great time on your bike with the mayor. It was great weather, great companionship. I look forward to doing it next year. Maybe we get some more people to come.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Yes, in the back.
Melissa Swords, 31999 Pine Tree Road. It was about the asphalt art. I think it's a really cool idea. But I also hear some of the concerns. So I was thinking maybe if that's something we wanted to explore, a really good candidate would be the Pine Tree South Woodland intersection, because that is where people need to stop. Like, people fly right through it. They don't stop. I live nearby. I see it happen all the time. We wouldn't probably want a light there anytime soon. Maybe a traffic circle, but it seems like such a low cost way to pretty immediately improve. I mean, I was walking with my kids on South Woodland this weekend, and we heard the honking and people not knowing who's going to go. So it might be a good thing to kind of bring something to the attention other than all of those green trees that's like closer to the road that might actually get people to slow down. So just a suggestion.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Ms.
Mayor
Birdseye.
Barter Savage, 29600 Shaker Boulevard. I just want to thank the mayor and Don Sheehy. We're getting sidewalks on Shaker. Ours was a little delayed for just a little bit of reasons, but we had a resident that Bart and I visited, and we know her, but she has a little girl, and she said, we walked down Shaker. She was actually the first one photographed she's 5.5, and she's on the sidewalk, but they walked down 2 houses and they found a new babysitter because they did not know that there was a teenager 2 doors away. So they were able to hook up, and now she's babysitting for their daughter. So the community is coming together. The community is meeting each other. We met a few neighbors that we have never spoken to before. So it's really bringing the community all together, and it's very exciting. So I'm hoping that in the future that all the main streets, because I know in Shaker we get 4,000 to 8,000 cars a day. So the other streets are just the same. So hopefully those other streets will be in the future.
Thank you very much. And yes, Ms. Birdseye.
Yeah, Gerard Barton Savage, 29600 Shaker Boulevard. Real quick, like Vera said, we walked up the sidewalks on Shaker, and we thought, wow, what an amazing atmosphere to be able to walk on the sidewalk on our street on Shaker Boulevard and not have to dodge cars. I encourage everyone, take a walk by our house and see what it's all about. It's just amazing. And we've met so many wonderful people coming by our house. One of them, Dr. DuPont from Gates Mills Boulevard. I'd never met him before. And he come by, he said, and I asked him, how do you like the sun? Oh, these are fantastic. I told the mayor I lost 40 pounds walking on Gates Mills Trail on the sidewalk just because of walkability. How cool is this? So he's definitely encouraging me to get out there and walk, get some fresh air, meet our neighbors, which is a fantastic thing. It is so cool. So I appreciate Mayor Bain, Don Sheehy for designing all the sidewalks and the walkability, and bringing us all together for the first time in the history of Pepper Pike. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else? And Mr. Lesko.
9579 Gatineau Boulevard. I wanted to comment on the fall event and what great event with the young kids. When we first moved into the community, I still had hair and everybody around was old. If you weren't on it, it was like living in a retirement community. And now I go to event like this. I'm the old guy, but it's so wonderful to see all these young kids. I mean, it is really great what's happening in the community.
Thank you, Richard. All right, I think it's all been said, and with that, we stand adjourned.
You'll be bringing the babies before you know it.
Congratulations, Mr. Lemay.
Thank you.
Very exciting, Grandpa.
Yeah. I got to catch up with Charlotte, who's now 3.